how to develop skills effectively. Ever wonder why your students are not learning the skills they need? Let's say you teach math, art, or English, and your students just aren't mastering the skills like you want them to. What went wrong? Perhaps you didn't give your students enough practice or timely feedback on how they are doing. But the two main components to developing a skill is practice and feedback, and lots of it. Let's talk about practice. Anything that is learned should be put into practice, and more so than you think. As educators, we often forget this, or we just simply get too busy with teaching. But your students need lots of practice, and they will thank you for it. You see, when the brain is learning something new, cognitively, it's a lot of hard work, like climbing a mountain for the first time. You don't want to overload your students' brains too much. When introducing new information, give your learners time to acclimate before moving on. Make sure the skills they are learning are challenging but still doable. Students that feel frustrated because it's too hard or bored because it's too easy makes it hard for you and your students. To balance this, it requires you to design your curriculum in steps. Introduce the skills and give your students time to absorb the information. Then introduce a bit more and let them practice, and so on and so forth. But how often should your students practice? A very straightforward answer: space it out over time. Your students are not going to learn a new skill in just one day. Instead, like anything we learn, it takes time. So, as an educator, plan ahead and be creative in giving your students time to work on the skills over the course of the lesson, project, or unit. They will be much more successful if they learn the same skill a bit by bit. Make sure to focus on what type of skills your students will learn. Some skills need lots of practice, so it becomes second nature to them, while other skills don't need as much practice. So plan ahead for this too. So your students have been practicing the skills. Now what? It's important to let your students know how their skills are shaping up. Are they doing well? Or do they need a bit of improvement? Practicing something incorrectly can be worse than not practicing at all. Only giving your students feedback at the end is not going to help them develop their skills proficiently. Instead, plan for lots of built-in feedback times in your lesson or unit. When giving feedback, be specific and give feedback as soon as possible. The more feedback you give, the better. Also, mix it up when you provide feedback. Give them verbal, written, or even peer reviews on how their learning is developing. The more variety of ways you give feedback, the more engaged your learners will be in receiving it. What your students really need when developing skills and learning new things is for you to be their coach. Give them time and feedback, help them learn, give them goals they can accomplish. All of this will result in your learners truly mastering the skills and engaged in their learning.